Welcome everyone to VR Jungle Havoc podcast. This is your host Gerald C, and today we have Matteo311 here. That is a YouTube person. My YouTube's still going in the background. But the funny thing is that when I saw your name Matteo, it kind of reminded me as when I was a kid, because my name is also Matt, and I lived in Yuma, Arizona for a while, and so my nickname was Mateo as well. So I thought that was pretty funny. But if anyone's ever seen him, he makes really good videos all over VR news, and also does a game kind of like reviews as well. So you want to go ahead and take over from there and explain more about yourself?
Sure. Yep. Like you said, I'm Matteo311. I run a YouTube channel, which is basically VR news and VR reviews. I just really enjoy VR. It blew me away. I wanted to be more involved with the community. I have that itch to create something. So, I made a video when I first redid this basement down here, the Mat Cave.
Yeah.
I made a video on it. I posted to the YouTube and I said, you know what? I'm sitting here watching these YouTubers on VR.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start making some videos, join the community, be more involved. And that's how I got here.
Yeah.
So I do a weekly news segment and probably about one game review a week. It's all I could really handle.
Yeah.
There's so many games, I just can't keep up. And I also like to kind of just enjoy my game time. It's my only like free time. So I don't want to be on. I don't want to be, like trying to, I just want to take it in and enjoy. I'm very limited on the reviews. It's just like something that I really think the community is excited for. Then I'll make sure to cover that game. And yeah, that's it. And then I'll do some opinion pieces, just talk
Cool.
about whatever I think is interesting in VR.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've seen a couple of your videos, and especially the weekly news one, like the most recent one that you had, where they're like the new like Oculus update that you're doing, and I know you have another one coming up this week that has gone live yet, or is it what day do you usually post?
So Monday I post my news,
Okay.
which is a recap of it. So it tells you like everything cool that happened last week and prepares you for the new releases. So or whatever's going on this week.
Sweet,
That's
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, there's some interesting games out there. I know I tried to do the game reviews for a little bit for VR Jungle. I would like do like VR Jungle on my Sunday, Monday, and then I would do like a review, like try and play it, and then try and do the review. But I wouldn't just do like current games, like big games. I would do stuff through side quests, so I'd call it like side quest reviews. And there's like one game they wanted me to review where it was like me flying around with like naked giants everywhere, and I'm just like, what am I doing here? What am I
Yeah.
doing here?
I'm questioning
yeah,
life.
yeah, I'm questioning what I'm doing. But yeah, that's pretty cool that you also enjoy VR. But it's like doing VR news alone, and like we're still in like the pinnacle of VR, still trying to lift off of the ground to where it is. It's been around, longer than a lot of people think. But like when you looked at the console world and all that and those news, and then VR, what got you to go that way? But like you had to think like, oh, there's got to be a hard road going VR. Did you not think that?
So it wasn't, I didn't think about it. I didn't say like, oh, let me go VR because it'll be successful. I went that way because I thought VR would kick ass. Like the first time I put on a headset, it blew me away.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy hell, this is the future, regardless of who feels that way. And I said, I just want to be involved in this.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think it's the future. Like I always tell people, it's like give it like the next 5 to 10 years, or even that. Like even like with the Meta making those new stores, they have like five different headsets that are about to launch. They're gonna have like an own Apple store. You can go in, try out these headsets. I know
Yeah.
some of them are only gonna be not full consumer based. They're gonna be more like business, like the one that they're calling the Pro. Definitely don't think they should go with that name, because when I think of like a new headset and call it like a Pro compared to what they have, should be a gaming form of a headset.
Yeah. I mean, I've had that exact conversation. If they are going to call it the Meta Quest 2 Pro or Meta Quest Pro or something along that, I know pro usually means professional, but in this context, we just usually think of it as better,
Mm-hmm.
like, not enterprise edition. So it's like, I think people are still going to think it's gaming centric. They're still going to think it's a member of the Quest product line. And what is the
Sure.
Quest for? It's for gaming.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens. They are reporting that it might be the MetaQuest 2 Pro, but
Yeah.
I'm talking to some people internal, and they're like, we're not throwing around that name when we reference Cambria. So
Yeah, I think people are just kind of going with it, say, hey, this is the next generation of it. But I don't think it's going to be the next generation of it until they actually say this is physically for gaming. And I really hope when they do take it to the next level of gaming, it can match for PC VR to where you can have a true standalone and play, very vibrant like games you're getting from Steam and stuff. Because there just seems like there's a huge out war between a dividing right now factor when devs make a game right now to when it comes to PC VR and then Oculus, because Oculus right now holds what, like 85-90%
yeah,
of the market. And then I just had on the other day the person who made Val, and he said, hey, like no one is really just making a PC VR game, like a true PC VR game.
no,
And he goes, that's the way I'm going with it. People don't like it. He goes, yeah, I might eventually go to a standalone headset, but it's got to be up to what I need to, have the look and feel that I want.
it's the catch 22. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you need a market, or your product's not going to make any money. But you know, right now the only market is on these lower end devices because they're more affordable. So you can only make so much. You can
Mm-hmm.
only push it so far. So you can make this amazing game on PCVR, but you're not going to make any money. Or you can make a watered down title and make a lot more money.
Yeah.
It's a no brainer. At the end of the day, the company has to make money to survive.
Yeah, and that's crazy that but I've seen the game Veil, and I'm a big supporter of it. I think it's going to go far. I think that just coming from the esports part of me, since I own the VR esports Havoc, is that when it comes to lane events, is that just for example, they just had a lane event for the NEPA series over in St. Louis, and a lot of people that were playing PCVR when they came over to play with their team as a pro team, they had to switch to Oculus headsets because that's all they were providing. They weren't allow them to bring their rigs, so they had to dim down their quality. They were dim downing probably the speeds that they were usually handling, the hertz, all that.
Yeah.
But if you look at the tournament that Valve's about to have, the $35,000 one, and that's just the min price that they're going to fly people out to Miami. That's going to be true gaming right there. That's going to be what gaming is, rigged up to some form of very graphic. It's going to be very fast paced. I think that's where lane events should be going.
So there's definitely something to be said about that, especially if you are at the pro level. I don't know if there's really a pro VR,
Yeah.
competitive league yet,
Some people
or
think,
what again, we're back to pro. What does
Yeah,
pro
yeah,
exactly
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
But like, yeah, if you're used to specific hardware and you're used to base station tracking and you're used to 144 hertz,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden you got to drop down to 72 hertz and inside out camera tracking, that can throw you off a little bit. But I mean, the Quest technology, if everyone's on the same plane, everyone's on the same, field, same hardware, then it's fine. It's just, yeah, I could see that hitting. I know some people who were big Onward players,
Mm-hmm.
and they were annoyed that Onward took the hit to support the Quest, and things were changed, and they were pretty pissy about it. But I to jump to Vale, I'm not sold on this game. I
Really?
know I'm probably pissing people off right now. Yeah, I'm not sold on the title because I mean I played the demo or the beta. I played at least an early version, and I'm sure it's progressed. It wasn't too long ago. It was maybe 2 months ago I tried it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's progressed. I could see they've added some stuff, but I'm still wondering, like, okay, what sets this apart right now from other games? You're going PCVR only, so the player base is going to be much smaller. So
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to solve that by, hey, everyone get in now, get in on the beta. We fill it up. A lot of people, tons of free copies out there. We fill up the game, basically go free to play.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll definitely help for sure. But you're still dealing with a much smaller community, and I just didn't see anything that really set it apart. Yeah, there was some cool gun physics, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sold yet.
Yeah. And I think the only thing that really sets it apart, and I think I brought this up with him, like, because I asked him the question, what is the difference between his game between Pavlov Onward and Contractors? And there's like you got Avlo or something like that as well that I kind of similar like that. But he said, if you look at it, it's just not basically boots on the ground. It is more a futuristic feel. It's stuff like that. And then he's trying to separate his game, but at the end of the day, yeah, it is still a first-person shooter. You still got objectives, which is still 5v5, 5v5 fighting. You still have some point objective that you have to complete to win. But I think standalone is that I think that when he really separates himself is literally the beauty of the game, because I see some of the guns that he's made compared to other games, and he's making, they're taking the time to make the guns look really good and real, but how far on competitive play do people really sit there and all out their gun while they're trying to kill somebody?
Exactly. I mean, is that where you should be putting your time and effort in? I mean, at one point I remember they said, oh, they're building like a metaverse, within the game. And I'm like, but I thought this was supposed to be like the, super competitive, top notch shooter. Why are we going metaverse direction? And then there was NFTs. So that's why I'm not sold.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not judging it until it's much further along and I see like close to finished product or a finished product.
Yeah.
I'm just saying right now, from what I've seen, I'm not sold.
Yeah. And that's pretty easy to say that on like any beta or a game that's an alpha.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Because there's going to be their downfalls. I know a lot of their maps aren't fully built and all that stuff. It's like I know a lot of people just played the game, the Ghost of Tabor, the alpha test on that. He's also, that might be the biggest game of 2023. But it's like right now you have all of these games, but like I said, one of them is going to take off, and one of them is going to be left in the dirt. It's going to happen.
When it comes to VR PvP titles, PvP shooters, most of them feel like they end up left in the dirt. We've had a few, rise to the top, and then everything else, even like Larcenauts, didn't do so well.
I was a huge Larcenauts. I was pretty good at that game. I was really upset, and I still go into the Discord and I'll play every once in a while because the game had so much potential, but it had a really bad launch. They didn't, their beta test was internally through family because it was a COVID complication, which makes sense. But then, they're making updates every 6 months now, and they are always promising people in their Discord this huge changing idea. So a lot of games come and go.
They should have delayed the game. I know it's a bad luck sometimes, but their beta, because I was in their beta, and it was right before launch, so they couldn't change the things we found.
Yeah,
I mean, they were locked into a release build, and yes, they can push day one updates and stuff, but that's always iffy. So you had a couple issues. So their beta was way close to release. We did identify a bunch of issues. Like one was when you run, the gun just kind of moves on its own, and that totally wrecked the immersion. And we said right away, no, that's got to be fixed. And like, well, how? We don't want people running and gunning. And we're like, just like every other game, like Pavlov and stuff, you got to point the gun down. If you point the gun down, you can run.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh shit. And but they then couldn't get it into the release build. And then they had it ready for the release build. They had a 0-day patch, but all their tutorial was built off of that. So I was like, no, set the immersion update to default. And they're like, we can't. Our tutorial won't match.
Yeah.
And our tutorial is voice acted. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, so a month would have saved that. And plus, the Steam launch was broken.
Yep.
So, I mean, I actually played it. I played the Quest build, but the Quest build also unlocked the Oculus or the Rift version. And I played the Rift version with Revive.
Yeah.
Because I just rather play on PC VR. So I played the Rift version with Revive, and that was 1,000 times better than the Steam version. The Steam version was completely broken at launch. And I felt bad because I posted a review, and I'm like, yeah, no, this game is pretty solid. It's got a lot of potential. And then I tried the Steam version. I'm like, oh my God, this is unplayable.
Yeah.
Which they did. I think they took it down, or they removed all the other headsets and it only said playable on Rift. A mess.
Yeah, and so hopefully, I do hope they do come out because like I said, like if they ever do come with this next update, it does have good promises behind it. I mean, I trust Greg. He's the the owner of that place, and I know he's got passion for the game. But it's just like if you're not in your Discord talking, like it's no one speaking. It's only like players that want to play the game. They're like, hey, where are you all at? And it's just like,
Yeah.
just ghost chatter everywhere. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But I think out of all of the games out right now, or that have been out in the past 2 years, or even just came out, I think Contractors is holding its own. I think if you want to talk about a game that is being updated, they're messing with the guns to where they can actually shoot. Where someone say it's overpowered, they can nerf it here and there, but there's always gonna be a meta. There's always obviously a meta in a game like that. But the thing is that if you compared to a PCVR version and then the Quest version, they're doing a really good job trying to make maps that are actually comparable to each other, so then you can compete at that rate. And also, I think that even as a standalone, they're trying to push, that 120 hertz that is possible in the headset. Like they just redid one map that I swear I was in PCVR. It was nutty, and I'm like, how can my headset handle this?
And every once in a while, the Quest 2, when a game is super optimized, the Quest 2 does impress like that.
Mm-hmm.
My issue there, though, is, you had a developer or a development team. They had to spend so much time optimizing, which probably could have been spent on additional content, updates, whatever. And that's, back to that whole catch-22 of the Quest.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you an audience. It definitely makes VR available to the masses, but concessions.
Yeah. What do you think is probably the most pinnacle game right now, or like the game that might be declared as the best of 2022, or even not even out yet that you have like the biggest hopes for?
I can definitely go into both. Right now, my potential, this will probably change in the future, but my game of the year is probably going to be Moss Book 2.
I heard, I've heard a lot of good things about that.
I've just played through the Quest version. I'm not specifically supposed to talk about the Quest version.
Yeah.
But the PlayStation VR version is out. It's been out for 4 months, so everyone can go see the whole game and get reviews and stuff. And I will just say, it's surprisingly good on the Quest. Obviously, if it was high-end PC VR, it would look better, but it already looks pretty damn good. And it's just unbelievably well done. And this is coming from someone who is a PC VR snob, self-identify that way. And I have no interest in puzzle platformers. It's just not my genre of choice by any means. But when someone gives you such a high-quality one, you can't, you have to appreciate it.
Yeah,
and
sure.
It's phenomenal. But going into the future, Vertigo 2 is what I'm probably most excited for.
Vertigo 2, what's that?
All right. So it's great you say that because So Vertigo 1 was a really early PC VR title, super underrated. And then the developer, while he's working on Vertigo 2, he took all those updates and remastered the original game.
Okay.
So there's Vertigo Remastered that you can get right now. The original Vertigo's gone. Vertigo Remastered, and it's fantastic. I always describe the game as Half-Life meets Rick and Morty.
Okay, awesome.
It's got a very, similar feel to the original Half-Life.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're exploring this wacky lab and crazy stuff's happening. But it's got that Rick and Morty type of sense of humor and quirkiness to it. And it's about 5 hours long, but mind you, this was a 2018 PCVR title and then eventually remastered. It's 5 hours long, so that was already long for a PCVR title. Attention to details up there, quality's up there, graphics are great, a lot of fun, a lot of action. Love it. And it's not bland, a lot of games just repeat content to extend it.
Mm-hmm.
Every sequence is different. There's a unique boss fight here, or you're flying in a spaceship, or just weird stuff going on. You get shrunk down, just wacky stuff going on. Solid game. Vertigo 2 continues the series. There's a demo on Steam. Go get it. The demo has been available for 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
Go grab the demo. I think you'll be like, oh wow, this is solid. And what the developer's putting into the second game just looks nuts. Like there's a whole level where you get to choose a side and there's a war going on and you got to help end the war.
Mm-hmm.
It looks nuts.
You get to play both sides.
They're in. Yeah, what's that?
You get to play both sides then. After you're done, you get to switch sides and maybe.
I guess I don't know, but closed beta applications are going right now.
Sweet.
So.
Yeah, people have to try that out for sure. But you mentioned two games that a lot of times are like speed run. Do you do any speed running?
I do not speed run. Okay. I'm old, so yeah, I'm slow speed.
Yeah, the duration. Yeah, I had a guy on. I don't know if you ever heard of him named Blitz VR. He's part of the speed running like world, I guess. There's a whole world for VR out there for speed running.
Crazy.
And he said he'll sit there and like you have to have perfect runs. And so I think he had like the world record for Moss 1. And he was looking forward for Moss 2 to come out so he can get ready and speed run that. So the version that they have out, like, how are they going to transfer all that stuff over for really good games like that? Like, why wouldn't they just waited for PC VR 2 to come out? I mean, PSVR 2.
For Moss?
Yeah, Moss 2.
Well, I mean, Moss got a little bit of a boost from the, because now it's on the PlayStation 5. So, I don't know why they made the decision to launch first on PlayStation VR. I guess, rather than wait for PlayStation VR 2. That's some internal decision they made. I really don't know what. And it's weird too because at this point, PlayStation VR is like not dead, but pretty much on its last leg.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's waiting for PSVR 2. So I don't know. I don't know what prompted that decision. Maybe they're just most familiar with development on PlayStation.
Yeah. And that's what really stinks about like that it is considered a dying part of VR because it was for the longest time the biggest part of VR was PlayStation VR, and that's why I thought it was really cool when you see a game like After the Fall that actually took the initiative to push that third platform to be active. Now, did it work very well for PlayStation VR? Not really, but was it cool to see people on PlayStation playing with me killing zombies? Yeah, that was pretty cool. And they had a weird lag, man. If you were at the highest level killing zombies, if you had someone from PlayStation, the zombies in their system just would lag up, and so it allowed them to bundle up and crumble, and they would still run around just being able to mow them down. It was
oh my goodness.
Yes, I'm like, yeah, awesome. This is great.
I was in an early build with Vertigo games for After the Fall, and I've never seen it happen since, and I wouldn't even call it a bug, but we had one series where where you're in the middle room and you restock on supplies and then you hit the lever to open up the door, and like right out of that door we just had a horde coming in. And we killed so many people, it stacked up the entire doorway.
Wow.
And it was just bodies stacked up, and that was my first impression of the game. And I was just like, this is crazy. I'm like, how do they get I'm like, no way the quest is going to be able to handle this many zombies. And sure enough, they got it.
Oh, yeah. Like, I never had a single problem. I had one problem where we left a room on the very first level where you go into the door and you go through this, like, old abandoned house before you get back outside. And if you're not careful, if you go too close to the door wants to shut and close you, but you can actually stay back there and let people go push. And something happened where the door was still locking with me in it, and a zombie came through it, and its whole entire just started flaring around everywhere, and it's like started like going. I'm like, what in the world? It's like in my face. I'm taking damage every time it slapped me. I'm just like, this is not correct.
Some weird clipping issues going on there.
Oh yeah, but it kind of stinks because that game. Also, I wish they would have taken their PvP a little further. I went in there a couple times because I think some person was setting up a tournament just for a fun PvP. And I was like, yeah, I'll get on there just to warm up and see if I want to do this tournament. And I couldn't find anyone on.
I mean, I think it's a solid game. I think it's a really good game. I just wish there was more to it. Mm-hmm. When I finished the game, it felt like it was just getting started. Like, that's what I felt like. The last level is the only level that actually gives you story content.
Yeah.
Like, they have their really cool 30-minute intro, and then they have a little bit of story content and a cool boss fight at the end, and everything else in between is just mindless filler.
Yeah.
It's fun. Don't
is
get me
fun.
wrong. I would turn it on and play it any day of the week if I had free time.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wish there was a little bit more complexity and just something else, to it.
Yeah, and I think like maybe what they should have done just to keep people playing is daily missions. Because right now like all they had was like kill like 1,000 horde and then you get this skin.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the
I
same
mean,
thing like how Zenith went. Like Zenith went to like the same thing. Just do the same task constantly and you get something really cool, but you got to do it a lot.
the one thing though I will say, like so I'm not a fan of Zenith. I have a semi-notorious video online when I just like after like 3 weeks I decided I'm just completely done with this game. I think I was in my title.
Yeah.
I'm done with Zenith.
Yeah. I don't think
And
you're
then I
not the
just
only person. You're not the only person.
Well, listen, it's way more than I'm not the only person because I started, pulling stats to kind of see where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
And this is gonna be off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm gonna be off, but when I looked at the point in time, because a lot of people are like, no, you're crazy. This game's amazing. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna be playing this forever. I think it was like 65% of people stopped before 4 hours into the game.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because, Steam will give you stats.
Yeah.
But that represents 2 to 5% of the VR community.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of throw those Steam stats out the window. Sometimes you say, oh, the Steam stats match, the Steam players match the Quest players. That's not the case. The Quest players seem to be a little bit more lenient, maybe a little bit more casual, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But those numbers don't line up. But you could go achievement route and like just look how many people. And if you see, 65% of people have got this achievement. And that achievement was the second achievement in the game. You get an achievement for entering the game. And then you get an achievement for the first like tunnel where there's, like the first raid area.
Yeah, you're talking about.
And I would say that's 3-4 hours into the game. If you suck, 6 hours into the game. And when I look this up, less than 65% of the people. I'm sorry, less than, I think only 40% of the people like completed that.
Yeah.
And that's only like, I understand some people bought the game and didn't play it yet, whatever the case may be, but when you start looking at that, that's really not a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers were very similar on the Steam side because you can see the achievements.
Which is kind of weird because they made a lot of money, like an obscene amount of money.
Yes.
I think it was like $100 million, right?
I know they got like some big investments afterwards, but at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it was, getting close to 100 million. I know, right before launch, I know they got like another 20 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for an MMO, that's not an insane amount of money by any means. But yeah, I know they got another big investment. But I mean, when you look at the numbers, they launched big for PC VR for Steam. It's a very big Steam launch. And then, straight down pretty much. And within 2 weeks, you had like 150 out of the 5,000 people who bought it playing.
Mm-hmm.
And like now after the update, you're up to like 85 people, who play daily, 80, maybe 100 they peak at on PC VR, but PC VR doesn't really count. But again, if you look at After the Fall, which had a much smaller launch than Zenith, their numbers line up. Like they had like 900 people on day one, compared to Zenith's, 4,600, and the same number of people are still playing. So I don't know. I guess that says After the Fall's gameplay is fun, and Zenith got too grindy.
Yeah, because people like no matter what, say you had a rough day at work, there's nothing more satisfying than mowing down a shit ton of zombies. Just sitting there plowing through them. But like, so my whole entire story was Zenith's. Like, I tell a lot of people this, and I used to like just literally used to bug the shit out of me because I was a huge Destiny 2 player in Destiny. I was part of a huge guild. I used to do I used to be a Sherpa, do all their raid runs and all that stuff, teach people. So I was like, yeah. So we're having an MMO that is going to be in VR. I was super excited for it. I download it, get in there. Well, first of all, I think the first 2 days I couldn't get in there because I had that massive server issue. So I had to wait a couple of days. And then I played 56 hours straight. I took some, I fell asleep and everything, but I wanted, because I wanted to, when it's an MMO, I wanted to be the first one to have everything and like be the most powerful, the first one to do it. Because that's what we used to do with raid, is who could do the raid first, and there'd be competitive people doing this. And so I got that done. I started my second character, started building that up, and then all of a sudden I get halfway through my second character. I did all this grinding to get like the most highest powerful gear they had at that time, and then they did an update and they took that away from me. And then they said, now you can't do this by yourself. You have to do these events where you have to now find people. There's no matchmaking at the time, and I had to go through Discords to try and find people that want to play at the time I want to play. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
That's not acceptable. Yeah.
Ruined it.
So I had a buddy that I was always going back and forth with, and he's like, "No, it's good. You should jump back in." And like one Saturday morning, rare Saturday morning, my family was out. I had some free time, and I jumped on for like 2 hours with him, and I was just cursing the game. Like I was like, because it was like a series of quests where you had to like fly around and you know catch onto
those
levers.
Were always fun. Yeah.
And I was like falling off and shit, and I was just like, you know what? I finally have some goddamn free time to play, and I'm doing this bullshit. I'm like, I'm just effing done with this game. And he's like, oh, when you calm down, you come back and you play some more. And I tried like one more time with him, and I'm like, no, I just don't find it fun.
Yeah.
And I have very limited free time, and like just to sit there and be like,
it is. It is. My shoulders hurt the first couple of days I played, but yeah, I know what you definitely mean. Like it just like I did the same thing. Like they did have their last update, and I was like, I'll get on there and see if I can't talk to people, have a good time. And I was just like in this area, and I'm just like, there's no one for miles. What am I supposed to do?
I mean, it was cool on launch day. I was able to get in pretty early because I was pre-installed and stuff, and I was able to get in early. And it was really cool to see, like, you know, be in a room and just see like 50, maybe 100 people.
Yeah, I wish it was always like that.
And it was really cool, but I'm like, well, okay, I saw a lot of people. I'm not gonna have chats with them. They're all walking around killing the same guys 100 times. It's like, you know, it just wasn't. I don't know. It just didn't. And then the funny part is, like, just about 2 hours in, because I played like 6 hours the first day. About 2 hours in, population just dies. Like everyone's gone because everyone's quest went dead.
Yep.
So like 2 hours in, I'm like, I'm alone now because I'm playing on my index. And like all of a sudden it's like people are like, where'd everybody go? I'm like, everyone's quest died. They played 2 hours in game and they have to recharge their quest now.
Still blows my mind. I hear people all the time, I gotta get off. I'm like, dude, I have a battery pack that will keep me alive for 12 hours. And if that one dies, I have another one that'll keep me alive for another 12 hours.
I mean, I can physically handle probably more than like 4 hours in VR. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
when do I get 4 hours free is another question. But I probably can't handle, you know, more than 4 hours in VR. The only game that I've really marathoned and sat in like for a whole day was Asgard's Wrath. And again, PC VR, so I don't have to worry about a battery. But yeah, I've sat in that probably 4 or 5 hours straight. But, you know, even just like standing and just like circle strafing and like, you know,
my knees start hurting.
Your back, like you're in a weird posture, your back, your neck from the headset, whatever the case may be. It's like, you know, it's not like traditional gaming where you just sit on the couch and you could be there all day.
Yeah. So definitely Zenith is over. A lot of people like you that do reviews, you know, completely within like the past month have literally destroyed the reputation of Zenith. Like, and I don't think it was intentional. I think they're just, people are being honest. It's like, sorry, we were honest, you know. But
I mean, you know, I try to empathize and like think, like just jump into someone else's shoes and be like, okay, who will enjoy this? Why would they enjoy this? And then, you know, sometimes when I'm just so far on one side, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to let you know how I feel. And if you don't agree with me, fine. You'll blast me in the comments. I don't care. But it was a game that, you know, almost had like a visceral reaction from me. I was just so like, you know, a lot of times what happens with MMOs is they get addictive and not fun.
Yeah.
And then it's like a smack habit. You really don't want to be doing it, but you can't stop yourself.
That's how I was with
It's
Destiny,
it's
man.
not enjoyable anymore.
Yeah, getting on and doing all my dailies for Destiny, and that's all I could do. Like, man, like they had some tedious ones. I don't know if you ever played Destiny, but they
I
pushed
played Destiny,
grinding to
but
the T.
I mean, I played Destiny. I ran the storyline, and then I'm like, I'm not jumping into this every day and killing the same shit every day. This is
Yeah.
mediocre. But the only MMO I played for, like, I've played every MMO.
Mm-hmm.
I always think the next one is gonna be the one that like gives me what I want. Um, but the only one I played for years straight was the Star Wars one, the SWTOR. So Star Wars, the Old Republic.
Mm-hmm.
So I played that one for probably like 4 years.
That's cool.
With minimal breaks.
Yeah.
The one thing that was really cool about that one was every single character had a full story campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably took you, you have that level grind in there to get your characters level 50. So to see each one of those stories, you're probably at like 200 hours.
Yeah.
So even if you're just like, probably more than that, but even if you're someone who just like really enjoys like story content, at least that breaks up the grind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And they were good. They weren't top notch. It wasn't Knights of the Old Republic storytelling, but it was solid. It was enough to pull you in and captivate you. And I actually even liked the PvP, their PvP. They had two different modes, and one was called Hut Ball.
Hut Ball.
Hut Ball. So it's like Jabba the Hutt's palace, and it was a sport where you gotta like carry the football across, and the mechanics worked really well, and it was fun. So yeah, and I actually got pretty good at that. So I enjoyed it. It was the only MMO to really like hook me in, but it had to have more than just the grind to keep me hooked in.
Yeah, and that's why I'm big on big gun shooting stuff like that, and so like they had the one I told you about that's on alpha stage. I don't know if you even tried it yet, but the one that I did with a podcast, Damage X, he's making a game called Ghost of Tabor. And I don't know if you heard of that, but it's supposed to be just like the PC one. Well, I can't remember the name of it, but they made a PC version of it. Like they are the first one to actually make the type of thing. It's where you basically are this army person, go out into an area. There's going to be NPCs out there, but you're also going to run into real people. The loot that you take into the area, if you get killed, you get. If they want to take it from you, it's all gone. If you get like the most rarest gun and someone kills you and they take it, you have to do the grinding to get it again. And man, I can't remember the name of it for the PC version of it, but he's making that, and so I'm kind of excited for that. But it's only if they make a good story with it is all I worry about, because if there's no story to it, then you just got a game. So
yeah, I mean, there's got to be a balance, like that's the whole thing. Like every game, no matter what, is repetitive. Every single game is repetitive, but if it has a good, a fun gameplay loop, then it's fine. Like even like Call of Duty. And I used to be huge into Call of Duty 100 years ago. But like now, I don't play Call of Duty anymore. I don't really play too many competitive games because I feel like I've personally like started aging out. I don't have enough time to commit to a game to stay competitive, and then I get frustrated. So, and then I'm also slowing down. I am. I'm getting gray and slowing down. Doesn't mean I can't be good. It's just I don't have the time to commit, and then I get frustrated, and I'd rather spend my time doing something else.
Yeah, for sure.
So like but there was something so satisfying about like getting a bunch of kills in that game. They really know like how to make like those little sounds when you hit somebody, and then when you get the kill and when you drop somebody, like that almost becomes in itself like addictive. Like they really know how to fuel you. So like games need that, and they gotta just like bring the whole package. They gotta elevate it. If it's just gameplay, it's gotta be spot on.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing.
Yeah, and so like I can't really think of a game like it really isn't that competitive feel. You got your 5v5s, your first person shooters, you have your story. Like I know VR is pretty good with their puzzle stuff, and then you have like the battle royale. I would like to see a more realistic battle royale like Call of Duty happen. And I think that also is going along with the Ghost of Tabor. He said he might be making a version of it like that. But you said you don't like puzzles. Like, is there any puzzle game that you've just like played once and you're just like, okay, this is kind of fun?
I mean, um, like I said, it's not my favorite genre, but
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
have
know you said
definitely
that.
enjoyed. I've definitely enjoyed some puzzle games on VR. It's just they're not, springing to my head
Yeah,
right
and
now.
they're not
The
playable.
Gadgeteer was cool. I wouldn't. I guess you call it a puzzle game. It's a puzzle game.
Mm-hmm.
Gadgeteer. Gadgeteer was definitely cool. I'm just trying to think of like. I'm sure I've played all the most common ones, but nothing really stands out because it's not what I'm looking for. Most of the time.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. There's this one that I really enjoyed. That it was just goofy, and you just go in there, and there's like one thing where you like slap the guy's ass, and he like it's like makes a noise and everything. I'm like, okay, this is kind of entertaining. But like my favorite kind of puzzle based game was like Trover Saves the Universe. It was kind of
Okay.
really good story.
I
Um,
just, I turned it on for the first time like 2 weeks ago. Got interrupted by my kid. I've never played it. It's been on my backlog list forever.
you have to. It's great.
And I turned it on. I said, "Wow, this actually looks really good." And
Hmm.
and then I'm done. But yeah, I definitely want to. I definitely do want to jump into that. I was just trying to think of other puzzle games. Like Cubism was pretty cool. I like that because that'll be entertaining. I'm a big fan of a Rubik's Cube. I love solving a Rubik's Cube. Which is weird. I like
Hmm.
the Rubik's Cube, but don't play puzzle games.
Yeah.
Um, but that's weird because that's almost like muscle memory. It's almost like a stimming. Just something to keep you kind of going.
Yeah, for sure. It's
But
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I had one other game. Oh, like I Expect You to Die. It's really an escape room.
Yeah,
But
I've
I
heard
mean
that.
those are puzzle games
Hmm.
and those are phenomenal.
Hmm.
I Expect You to Die 1 and 2. Those are really good games.
Yeah, and the only reason why I ask you is because, like, when you do these reviews, are like just a news of like all the games that come out, like the release of the games, and like obviously you still have to study and look at them and even maybe dabble in them. And so it's like you're playing from puzzles to like Demio, which is a board game, to some PvP shooters.
Demio's awesome.
You like that type of board game stuff. And I know in your last one you brought up the other new game that's going to be a board game as well.
All
Um,
on board.
yeah, yeah. So you talked about that one. Um, but so like, is there anything that when you're like, oh, this game comes out, I have to test it? Is it got to be the puzzle games? You're just like, gosh, dang, another puzzle game. I have to talk about this.
Well, I mean, so when it's like a news upcoming release, whatever, I'll just give like the overview of the game.
Yeah.
You know, um, again, like I said, I stick to like one review a week. It's all I can handle time
Yeah.
wise because you got to beat the game, which takes time. So I don't really do first impressions. I really play a game, beat it, collect my
Oh, really?
thoughts, and let people know.
So
Yeah.
you just don't put
Yeah.
a couple hours in and then review it. You beat the whole thing.
Yeah, I would say like any game I put a review up, I like Resident Evil 4. The
Mm-hmm.
only I think I stopped at the last 3 chapters, but only because I beat it years ago on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I know what happens at the end of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I could stop here because I'm busy and I don't have much time left. But and Resident Evil was a long game too.
Mm-hmm.
But like Moss, I just completed Moss. The review will be up Thursday.
Cool.
I'd say for the most part, I am either completely done with the game or like 90 to 95% with the game when I put a review
Cool.
up. If I think there's gonna be a twist at the end or something, I really push myself to make sure I finish it.
Yeah.
Because you never know. You wanna be going in there and giving people the best possible information or the most accurate information you can.
Yeah, and that's pretty nice that you do that because I know a lot of people like they'll get stuff in like the alpha stage beta, pre like before the NDA gets like shut off, and then you can finally post whatever information you have. And some people will take that stuff like as soon as the NDA is over, they have a review out for the game, and
Yeah.
it's just like, why are you doing that when really from the time that they drop the NDA to the time where they actually do a full release, there could be a lot of changes. It could
Yeah.
completely change your perspective of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No. I mean, there's a lot to that. A lot of the time, the embargo times tend to be launch for these
mhm.
games.
Yeah.
So that's usually so nothing should be changing. And then that's why I also shy away from people like, oh, why don't you try this? I'm like, the game's in beta. Oh, but it's really cool. Well, playing a couple games in beta has left a really sour taste in my mouth. Like
Yeah.
I played an early beta of Into the Radius, and I was like, oh, this is janky as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And now everyone loves Into the Radius, but like I can't get myself to go back to it, which is terrible because all I hear is good things. I'm sure I'll get back to it eventually, but that original beta, that early beta, kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and then it's just hard to get past it sometimes. And then like when you say, okay, I finally have some free time, there's 70,000 games on my backlog. Which one am I gonna pick? Oh, is it the one that gave me a weird first impression?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pick that one.
Exactly. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. But yes, but like the one thing I know that we were talking about before we even launched this is like how VR community is small and stuff like that. And there's other people that do reviews and like news and stuff like that. And I think the coolest thing I've ever saw you all do is there was this thing on Twitter where you all would put together a board where you guys would speak on a topic and you just have people jump in and listen. Do you guys plan on doing anything more like that? Like, how do you all interact with each other?
So Nathan tends to do that. Um, he tends to do that after, like state of play, PlayStation VR, or whatever happens. The Oculus, it's not Oculus Connect anymore, but the Meta showcase, the Meta gaming showcase.
Yeah.
So usually once it's over, he just goes on Twitter and starts a room. And if I happen to see it, I'll just say, request speaker access. He usually grants me speaker access, and then we try not to talk over each other.
Yeah.
It just happens organically. And I know I'm a talker, so I'm just in there like, shut up, Matt. Just jump in every once in a while.
Yeah, and so how does that community work? Do you guys ever like bounce ideas off each other, or you guys pretty much for the most part only speak when you guys do that type of stuff?
No, some of us are really close. Like Eric for president, I would consider him a close personal friend. Like we just message and BS constantly. Like, I talk to him about his kids sometimes, whatever, regular parent stuff. We talk about what's going on in life. We talk about whatever. So we just BS. I'd say we're friends. Some people you just interact with and then you just end up liking them and talking to them and having conversations. Like the Between Realities guys, Skiva and Alex VR.
Yeah.
They were always nice. I always talked to them. I said, hey guys, I'm going to be in Arizona. Do you want to meet up? So I spent a bunch of time with them in Arizona. They're nice guys. Grumpy Duck, I met him when I was in UK. I was planning to meet Benjo, GT, and some other people while I was in UK. Steve Knows, sorry. I feel terrible. My mind blanked on Steve Knows for a second. Steve is awesome. He's my dude. But I got so hungover that I was just like, I can't move.
Yeah.
So I kind of missed them, but I only got to like run into Grumpy Duck. But it's like you just, you kind of interact in games, and then sometimes when the game's over, you kind of just sit there and BS. And some people you acclimate towards, that's how it is. We do bounce stuff off each other all the time, like kind of like check NDAs with each other, or kind of say, hey, you should check out this game. I really like this game.
Yeah.
Here's the contact for this person. Sometimes, we're all, most of us are friendly and helpful. And I honestly, anyone who's ever reached out to me in the VR community, no matter how big or small they are, I've at least tried to take some time and kind of just answer some questions. And if they want help, sure. I like helping people. It's just like, and I never want to come off as rude or like snubbing people, but like sometimes you'll miss a message. Sometimes you'll forget you're in mid-conversation with somebody because something takes your attention away.
For sure.
But I always try to be as available as possible.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think that's what a lot of like VR just needs to come to, because, you'll jump into some Discords in certain games that think they're high and mighty, and they're really toxic communities. And it's like, what are we doing here with such a small community that needs to build when, like I told you before, like as my thing is, I don't care if people come in, ask me questions as well, even esports stuff. Like when I first started doing stuff, and until to this day, if anyone asks me, like, you build me a logo or get me started in esports, I will literally take my time out, build them a logo, and even like give me a couple ideas, and I send it to them. I'm like, there you go have fun with it.
Yeah, there are so many amazing people in the community for stuff like that. Like, I get it. At one point when you are spending, like, you're specialized, you have a skill set, and you're working really hard, you should definitely get paid for your work. So I would never say like, people are, oh, you could do this so easy. Everything shouldn't be a charity case. I get it. Like when you're younger, you usually tend to have a different mindset. Like, oh yeah, no, I could do that 2 seconds, whatever. But when you get older, your amount of free time and your amount of free energy gets so much
Yeah,
lower.
for sure.
So like that, you got to find that balance there. But yeah, I think this community is definitely very helpful all around.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people. Like when COVID was over, and I actually had to go physically back into the work. I was telling like my co-owner of Havoc, I was just like, my time is gonna go really limited because like instead of like getting off at 3:30 and just being home and I could do all this stuff, I'm not getting home until 5 o'clock now. And I'm like, and then I still have to eat, hang out with my family, and
Yeah.
maybe get on the VR. Like I think I'm like an hour behind what I used to do, and so yeah, I mean that definitely I know what you're talking about there. That time is very limited, and like you see all these kids like I'll be trying to play a game and like they have the summer off, and so from this time on I'm just like, oh, you guys are whooping my ass. Wait till August, kids. Wait till August.
Yeah. When I could practice when you're in school.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. Like my summer, my available hours shrink down too because my kid's not in school, but she goes to camp. But she goes to camp an hour and a half later and gets picked up an hour earlier. So that's 2.5 hours of my day that I lose in the
Yeah.
summer. So just something as simple as that cuts in.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's schedule is crazy. She works 60 plus hours a week. So I'm the one who has to be around. So
Yeah.
I do what I can.
Exactly.
I do what I can. I'm just trying to find the right balance.
Yeah, it's all you can do. But like what I said about COVID, do you think COVID had like a really big advantage on people getting VR headsets and trying to be active without having to go outside?
I mean, I think it definitely helped. I think because nothing really great was going on in the console world either.
Mm-hmm.
The main big consoles you couldn't get. You couldn't get an Xbox or a PlayStation.
That's why I got a VR.
Well, yeah, and then even if you got them, what'd you play on them? There were like no new games.
Exactly.
After you beat Spider-Man, what'd you play on PlayStation?
Yeah.
Until Elden Ring came out, there's like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that definitely helped. And there's actually a documentary coming out on HBO.
Awesome.
Called "We Met in Virtual Reality,"
Mm-hmm.
which is like covers that time period, how people used virtual reality as an escape from COVID to interact, to socialize. It's really cool. It definitely helped. And Meta, in their infinite wisdom, was prepared for or ahead of the shortage, ahead of the chip shortage.
Yeah.
So they had quests, people are like, oh, it's the hottest item. It's going to be hard to get. And I walked in Best Buy and there's 40 of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoop.
Exactly. And that's basically what I did is like when I couldn't find the PlayStation 5 because that's what I wanted. And I'm just like, well, crap, like I want something new because if I want to compete in Call of Duty, which is what I was doing, I wasn't being able to do it on PlayStation 4 because those PlayStation 5s were running a tad bit faster than my 4 that were giving people an edge. It was like, I was like, I still want it. I want something new. And I saw the Quest. I'm like, yeah, I'll try that out because I didn't think VR was anything where it was at today. And I tried it. Yeah. I'm just like, oh, I'm never going to go back ever again. I get on my PlayStation to maybe play the new Assassin Creed, but that's about it. I play Valhalla, but that's about it.
So what's your game of choice in VR?
In VR?
Competitive game of choice, yeah.
Oh, right now? My competitive game of choice right now would be Contractors, hands down.
Yeah, that's what you're going to say. So, all right. I mean, I get that. That's how. But do you feel that the VR competitive games are, as mechanically complex and satisfying as the console or PC titles? Not VR, non-VR titles.
I think so. The thing is that I think that VR, when it comes to competitive play or like even coming in and doing the game, it's missing something that console has. And I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is, pinpointing it. I know that like when you load into a lobby and everything like that, like you were more interacting with the actual physical people in your team. Instead of VR, you have to worry about all these channels and things going on. And it's like also sitting on your ass and be able to just like play on a controller is very satisfying. It's limited thing. You're looking at it there, and it's like killing someone with your hands is I still get my blood rushing as much as I would killing someone in VR with actual physical bodies in my hands moving. But yeah, like definitely of me, I think maybe just because I've been playing on a console since I've been born. My very first thing was a Super Nintendo, and I've had every single PlayStation that's ever freaking was invented, and so me only being in VR for close to coming up, I think 3 years. Um, there is something a divine thing missing. I could never even put my hand on.
Like, so I'd say the last shooter I was playing was Alvo, and Alvo feels like an early Call of Duty with meh graphics and not fantastic motion controller implementation. Now maybe they've made some improvements since I played it at release, but the Quest version looks meh.
Yeah.
Feels like an early Call of Duty game, and I'm like, but Call of Duty has progressed so much since this, and it just doesn't feel as satisfying. Then on the Quest, like the lower resolution, the reduced frame rate, I don't know. I felt like the combat wasn't as smooth as it should be. I felt some of the PlayStation VR portiness. That's why some of the motion controls weren't there. It's like press the button and throw a grenade.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. That kind of broke it for me. And I think the only one that's really like scratched the itch is Pavlov. Pavlov is straight up Counter-Strike.
It is, yeah.
It's straight up Counter-Strike.
I thought Pavlov was good. I just don't think the devs go the direction of what the competitive people want. That's the only problem.
Probably not. I mean, the main developer, Dave, is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a super nice guy and he's super talented.
Oh yeah, I've heard good things about him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, you got to find that balance of do you go. A lot of times, what people tell you they want is just not right or won't help your game progress. Like the people are usually their own worst enemy.
Yeah. True.
But you have to make those decisions. You got to balance like what your vision of the game is, what's gonna help the game grow, because ultimately, this is a business endeavor. So what's gonna help the game grow? So you got to go in that direction. Like Onward had a very, very strong competitive community.
Yep.
But that's it. Now I think Onward is excellent, but it's just not my style. It's too military sim-ish for me, and I don't know. It's just not exactly my style.
Yeah.
But I think Onward is actually pretty fantastic. Not the Quest version. I thought the Quest version was meh. Yeah. But on PC, it's a really good looking game. It's it's very realistic. It's got its very own specific feel. But I mean, that was all like just the competitive community and no one else, and that's not gonna carry your game. You need continual growth.
Yeah.
To be successful, because it doesn't matter like if there's 10,000 people still playing your game 5 years post launch. If no one's buying it new, you're not making any money.
Yeah.
You're just paying the split servers basically.
Yeah, and they're not like selling any skins or anything. It's like the thing that they have their game, and I know that I've heard rumors of them making an Onward 2 and stuff like that, but it's just like if the biggest thing, the moneymaker right now, especially with this generation, especially the generation coming up, like not my generation, like my generation, we never had buy-ins and these packs to buy and stuff. But these kids, like you play any game now, you spend $1 and you can get this cool little thing. And then now for Fortnite, like when I go to my brother's house, for Christmas or something, or like for a birthday, and I ask my nephew, what does he want? What does he think he asks? The only thing he asks for is V-Bucks.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I feel like that has really ruined video games.
You think so?
Yes. So like I went through, I'm in my 40s. So like I went through pretty much every genre of game and every new update. And I remember like when Call of Duty first came to the consoles, which used to be a PC exclusive. When it first came to consoles, and then I was like, oh yeah, they did pretty good job, works pretty good. I don't like playing with a controller, whatever, but then they're like, oh yeah, no, they're gonna release 5 new maps. They're only $10. I'm like every PC game I've played forever is just like, no, you got you got stuff for free.
Yeah.
You always got stuff for free.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh, I'll never pay for DLC. I'll never pay for DLC. Now, if it's content DLC on a game I love, fine.
Yeah.
But skins and that stuff, I'm immune to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're almost to the point of like they hurt my soul.
Really?
Like I'm like, listen, the game is $40. $5 to change the way my character looks, like a superficial change that does not change the gameplay for me in any way. It's a status symbol, like, oh, I'm cool, I bought a skin.
Yeah.
Like I'm completely immune to that stuff. There's nothing to me. But what happened is these game studios like EA's, you know, really known for them, Blizzard, they said, wow, we could just make so much, like we have to build a platform for selling stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they make. They make an addictive platform for selling stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have things like Raid Shadow Legends. You know, like, oh, Diablo Immortal. I like but here's the thing, bad behavior gets rewarded like so well in our society. It's disgusting. Blizzard has gone as far as they've developed systems to kind of piss off players who aren't paying money.
Exactly.
So they
pay
make
the
it
win.
harder for you. They stack you up against people who've put in like a ton of money, so that you get stomped and you go, oh, it's all because he spent money. And then, but then you end up spending money. Like they know how to psychologically manipulate you, and it's so disgusting.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
And you know, like, but just think about it. How much time and effort is being put into finding ways to manipulate the player, which don't add to the game. I'm sorry, like, you know, a rainbow colored unicorn doesn't make the game better, or a rainbow colored, you know,
yeah, it's just a status. It's all it is,
90,
a status.
you know,
symbols.
like it doesn't, you know, your neon gun doesn't make the game better, but you took tons of people and tons of hours and spent all this, you know, time and effort to just add these superficial stuff into the game so they can make more money, and you did not improve your game at all.
Exactly, and it's like it's almost like EA. They went so bad that like for FIFA they had those packs, like they create your own team with those packs. There's a couple of I think it was Switzerland. They had to ban it because it was a form of gambling, or they saw it as a form of gambling.
Well, Battlefront had the issue too.
Yeah, and so that's so crazy. But the only time I ever justify paying for a battle pass is if the game was free. So like I've never had a trouble paying for a Fortnite battle pass or Population 1 battle pass because both those games.
That.
I don't think Population 1 was free.
No, Population 1's not free.
But so Fortnite was free. So when they had a battle pass, I was like, yeah, like I want to support you guys because you guys are making a good game. But that's the same way when I look at a game, like a mobile game that I play, and I'm really enjoying it, and especially a mobile game where it's like free, and it's like this pack is like a starter pack $5. I have no problem hitting that button because I'm like, this is me saying good job on making the game. I might not play it tomorrow, but I had fun for the time I had. Or have $5.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But when it gets predatory,
oh yeah.
You know, like Blizzard's making them like $1 million a day on sales in Diablo Immortal, and it hurts my soul.
Yeah,
I just
wait
really,
till they get into NFTs. They're gonna find a way to burn that out too. But
it's like NFTs too. Don't get me started there because they just make no logical sense to me. Because the main advantage of going digital, when things started going digital, is that we can instantly reproduce stuff. You know, there's no resources needed. You can copy and paste, and that was the biggest asset of things going digital.
Yep.
And I understand, you know, when it comes to like, all right, copyright and stuff like that. Hey, listen, someone took 4 years to build a video game. They're selling it for $60. Yeah, you shouldn't copy and paste that. I understand. And you know, people always say, well, you know, copying a game is not stealing, it's copying. No, listen, you took away from someone's time and effort.
Yeah, definitely.
However, when you're taking these digital assets, which already have no real value, they're nonsense to begin with. I consider them absolutely nothing. To some people, cool, you know, your gun's rainbow, but there really is no true value to that. It's not tangible.
Yeah.
Then not only are you taking something that someone can go copy paste, you're taking it and artificially making it scarce by using an insane amount of computing power.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're killing the planet to make something that is super easy to copy, impossible to copy. It's backwards. It's a step backwards. And I know people who are NFT fans are like,
they're
their heads
huge.
are exploding right now. Their heads are exploding the more I speak.
Yeah, I think it's like it's the biggest topic right now because a lot of people are worried about the crypto world because the cryptocurrency was supposed to be recession proof, and that has now proven to not be true.
Well, so when you look into the NFTs though, like when they analyzed NFTs when they were still, people were making money off them before they crashed completely. 95% of the trading was fake. People were trading with themselves and artificially inflating numbers. It was like 90 to 95% of the trading was just fake. And I'm sorry, but a stupid picture of a monkey can't start off as $10 and then be worth, $10,000. Like, it's that whole, oh, I got something. It's rare. It has value because it's rare. But it's like, rare. Okay, who cares? Like, Ebola is rare. Like, do you want that? I mean, it's one of those things, like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. My brain gets so stuck on it.
And I think a lot of people think just because you can't touch it, it's weird. But, there's like just a couple of years ago, someone literally threw paint on a white canvas and it sold for $100 million. So, like, you look at those things and it's like, what pinpoints making something worth any value besides what the person thinks it's worth? And so you get these people that are snubby, but that, a lot of times they just make the profit like this valuable and it's just a tax write-off.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things too. Like, just like art has been notorious for, ways to launder money because you can't value art.
No.
Someone looks at it and says it's a canvas with drips of paint on it. Someone splashed paint on it. Another person says, wow, that's genius, $100,000. So, like, you can't value it. So it's always been a way to hide money or launder money. So I get that. And the same thing with NFTs right there. But I just don't, like, at least when, you're dealing with art, someone set out with a mission. They said, I wanted to create. I wanted to produce my vision, show off my talent, whatever it may be, but they're creating art. But NFTs are just like, hey, we're going to take this random digital thing and just encrypt it, so someone can't copy it. But what's so stupid is, like, you could copy the content, just not the behind code. Exactly. Now, I understand when you get into the metaverse of it.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a lot more to it, and you could use NFTs to, like, secure digital assets. But again, don't be digital fake assets. Like, I don't know. It just hurts my soul. And it's nothing, I don't think that, should just be locked behind traditional means, copyright laws and stuff like that. We don't need NFTs, which are destroying the planet.
Well, so, like, I did a podcast on Revomon. And it's still going. It has its own coin. It's called Revo, and it's the very first VR game of what I know that is NFT based, catching Pokemon type stuff.
Yep.
And so I did a lot of studying at that point in time about talking about NFTs and stuff like that, and had to watch videos, so I kind of knew what I was talking about, just because I kind of have a gist of it. But as I was watching all these videos, a lot of people are like, "You're falling into this fine line of ownership, because there's still a person who had to make that Revomon or that skin that you're now buying that you think is a money worth, that you're gonna make money off of it, but they still have the copyright based off of the name who made it. So Revomon made this. Now you're selling it for a profit. What if that thing gets up to $2 million? There's still that small thing that they have their creation for it.
No. I don't know. It just, honestly, I just don't see the practicality of it. NFTs in general, they really just get so stuck.
And that's why I hope they stay out of VR as much. But that's why. But like, is there anyone that even knows when this Mark Zuckerberg genius metaverse is going to be dropped, or like, is it still kind of in the mix?
I mean, again, no one's clearly defined what the metaverse is. Like the closest thing you could say, the closest thing is like VR chat right now. But I mean, but again, though, it's kind of like before the internet existed, and someone said, "Explain to me what the internet is,"
Mm-hmm.
and you would struggle, even if you knew exactly what it was gonna
Yes.
be.
Yep.
You would kind of struggle to make, for it to make sense for the
Mm-hmm.
person. You say, "Oh well, it's we're gonna connect all these systems, and we're gonna be able to communicate across different network systems, and be able to do finance and transmissions and transmit pictures and all this stuff. And it's just gonna be this whole digital interconnected network. It's the internet."
Yeah.
And like even that, like because there's like a classic video of Letterman like ripping on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like, it's just like, well, they're like, oh, you could get radio over the internet. He's like, you get radio over the radio. It's like, what do you need internet
Yeah.
for?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's hard to really understand until it's like really woven into society.
Exactly. Yeah, and I can definitely see that. I was watching that new Tommy and Pam show where the guy stole the video of the sex tape, and he's like, "Hey, like, there's a thing called the internet, and you could put it on there. You just put it on there, and then you put it in there." And so he was like making a lot of money for a little bit, and then all of a sudden somebody just ripped it, and then started selling it for themselves. He's like, "You can't do that. You can't steal what I just stole."
That's my stolen property.
Gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
that when you said that, that straight reminded me of that. Yeah, that is funny, but yeah, I just don't think it's anytime soon what people are picturing. I think you're looking by crap.
We're 5-10 years out. I mean, 10 years more. So again, just like how I want to describe the metaverse as a new layer of reality, as weird as that sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like the internet gave us this new level of intercommunication.
Yeah.
Just everything through your phone goes through. We
Mm-hmm.
text message, we send pictures, we do all that stuff. We're interconnected,
Yeah.
and that happened with the internet. The metaverse would be this new layer of reality that would kind of like always be there, kind of just like the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just more. It's more of the same. It's new ways to communicate. It's new ways to interact, experience each other, basically see things that aren't there. Because like you could think of your phone as like augmented reality 0.1.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Exactly.
certain features you turn on, they're going to show you things that you can't see with your normal eyes. But
Yeah.
you could see certain things like it's going to see you to tell you the name of the street, even if the street sign isn't there. Like, so you're getting a little, extra layer of reality. But this is like the 0.1 version.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then eventually there'll be this new layer where we could just put on these helmets they get pissed off when you say that, put on these little visors.
Yeah.
Put on these little visors, and all of a sudden, you can be interacting and communicating and do it in a digital, more physical manner than we've ever done before.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like putting on some glasses, like in what's that show where the guy actually, Dave, not Dave. It's the move. He's like in a game. He doesn't know he's in a game, and he becomes conscious. Why can't I not remember? It's called The Guy. It's called Guy.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it yet? It's with Ryan
No.
Reynolds.
Free Guy.
Yeah, Free Guy. I just
Free Guy.
imagine putting on some
Oh,
glasses.
that was awesome.
And then all of a sudden he can see everything. Like I can imagine a world like that, and like even just kind of like foreshadowing. It's like they just put specs on the new Apple glasses coming out, and those look pretty legit.
Yeah.
Like how?
We'll get there.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot of technical problems that have to be solved.
Mm-hmm.
And no one besides Meta right now really wants to foot the bill to solve those issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
I know that was it Meta or was it Apple that was trying to do a huge division of like XR, and they were promising investors like within the next 5 years, and now they're looking at the next 10 years for actual full XR compatibility and making things really legit.
I know Meta during their earnings meeting, they had to tell people, hey, the metaverse. Yeah, we're looking at 5 years till XR starts breaking a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they're just burning billions. They're just like shoveling cold hard cash, right? Right into the furnace.
Hey, but at least you get a video of Mark Zuckerberg giving himself a pair of tits. That's all that matters right now.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's crazy out there. You know what? Jumping back to gaming for 1 second,
Yeah.
because I was thinking of this before, and maybe we'll end on this because it's getting late
Oh,
for
for
me.
sure.
It's past
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
bedtime.
It's past an hour, so cool.
But what I did want to mention, gaming wise, probably another title you haven't tried that you should just check out. Probably not pick up now, maybe unless it's on a big sale or something. But check out Legendary Tales.
Legendary
Okay?
Tales.
Because what I always want to see in a quote unquote MMO
Mm-hmm.
is not an MMO. Like I'm realizing, like we don't need 50 to 100 people just being idiots in the same location.
Yeah.
If what it takes to get 50 people in the same location just jerking around um destroys the actual gameplay,
Yeah.
then it's not worth it. Cost benefit analysis here. I want really solid gameplay I want an MMO like kind of like what Township Tale does. But
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a more mature theme. So Legendary Tales is a 4-person co-op physics-based RPG.
Yeah.
Now it's early access. It still has a little bit of jank to it, but
And it's just PC VR.
yeah. But as someone who is a huge RPG fan and a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan, this is the type of system that really needs to be put into a full-fledged game. And they have a huge update coming out like later this year, which is going to expand it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But like to let you know how the game plays, it is a super rewarding character building system. So like how you play is basically like levels up the skills of your character. So if you go around swinging big weapons, your character gets stronger. If you go around shooting a bow, you get more dexterous and you're better with a bow, better with,
cool.
dex-based weapons. If you get your ass handed to you constantly, your character gets more endurance. So
Okay.
his hit pools grow.
Yeah.
And then so those are the basic stats that kind of grow based on how you play the game. And then you get points to kind of decide how you really want to make your character special.
Yeah.
Like I've been playing a lot. I played like 30 hours with Soul Fox Gaming, and I made my first character was like this it was like hulking dude, giant sword, and I would just physically knock people over when I hit them.
That's funny.
And now he made a monk like character. He runs around with no weapons, and he's just palm striking everybody. And it's just like really crazy to see. And my second character is like a glass cannon mage. Like I could probably take 1, maybe 2 hits in game, but I'm not letting anybody get near me because I am raining fire just constantly. Yeah. I'm just dropping lightning, ice from the ground, fireballs. I'm just nonstop, and it's just such a rewarding system. I want to see that. That system, because think about it, when you play an MMO, for the most part you get your core group of people, you hang out with them, and then you go on your raid runs with them.
Yeah.
So I want that gameplay, and then just give us some hubs, give us some taverns, where we could go in and there's 20 people in the tavern, 40 people in the tavern, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So like just get that gameplay solid first, and then build out the world. That's what I really think we need. That's what I would love to see.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always geek out on this game. Now, the reason why I say don't get it right now is because it's PC VR only. It's not super populated. If you have a bunch of friends that want to play with you, they're into RPGs and stuff like that. It's also quite repetitive right now.
Yeah.
Because they only have one dungeon
not
right
enough
now.
Content.
Yeah, it's only one dungeon. There's only like maybe 10 different enemies. With variations of those enemies. So it's a little sparse right now, but it is such an unbelievable foundation. And when physics are done right in VR, we just know how fun physics are. Because
for sure.
When you crack someone and they go flying, like you chuckle or you go, "Oh, that was awesome." Or there's actually been scenarios where when I'm running around with a glass mage, my teammates know I die, by one hit. And there's been people who've actually dove and got their shield to block me getting stabbed.
Wow.
They got their shield in the way. And yeah, we were actually fighting a boss fight, and one of my buddies just an arrow was about to hit me, and he just came in there and he just snuffed it. And I'm just like, that was amazing. Those are the only things that can happen. the only things that could happen in like VR with high-end physics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like you're basically explaining. Like I know a lot of people play like Swords of Sorcery, and they get that feeling as well when like killing people and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things that a lot of people are missing is like the community building aspect of like an actual true guild. I know that Zenith tried to do that, but it wasn't there. But there's no actual system built in like a Destiny guild system. But like for a game to work, especially for a true MMO, you have to have groups constantly with you. You know, if you're not like with Zenith, you might run into somebody, but they might be part of a guild and they're gonna run off. But like if you're in a true scenery and then you're playing a good game like that, then yeah, you're gonna find it. But I had another thing I was gonna lean with that, but I can't remember. But yeah. So like, do you think they need like a guild system?
Unless, like I said, I gave up on Zenith.
No, I'm talking about
Um,
like they make it good. Like you're talking about
oh,
making it
to
good.
make this good, well, to make this good, it just needs to be expanded, in my opinion. It just needs to be expanded, like everything they're currently doing, I think. But if they could get a system like this into an MMO,
Yeah.
like like because again, I think traditional MMOs are not right for VR. They have too many requirements that one don't work too well in VR,
Mm-hmm.
and also like it will limit the overall scope of the project. So like I said, cut it out. You don't need areas where you can just freely walk around and there's 50 people, all the time. You don't need that because look, you won't even find those areas in Zenith anymore because the game's not populated enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, what's the major benefit? To just sit there and go, wow, there's a lot of people down there. Like,
Yeah.
what's the real benefit? So, just cut off what works. The problem with Zenith, why I couldn't stomach it, was the combat was so bland
Mm-hmm.
that
You didn't get the feeling you had in this game that you're talking about now.
no, and oh god, I have a TikTok up. I don't really make TikToks, but I made one, and it's that sound like this is bullshit. This is a work of art,
Yeah.
and I'm going back and forth between Zenith and
Yeah.
and Legendary Tales. But like Legendary Tales is just like awesome. Like you see this skeleton on the table and some guy just like crushes the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see like Zenith and it's just like just like swords
Yep.
with trails.
Yep.
And then like someone's like knocking a guy down a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like pew spell.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, it just the feel wasn't there. I remember I'm jumping in with Beardo, and Beardo's just like, no. He's just like, no. He's like, what is this? Why is everyone going on about this?
Yeah.
He's like, the combat, there's no, there's no meat to it. And I said, I agree. It's amazing how games like Boneworks and this game Legendary Tales can make you feel like you're actually like there's an actual collision.
Yeah.
And
sure.
we know we're just like in our room, just waving our controller around, to make you feel like the weapon has weight.
But do they do anything to the hand, like rumble or like anything to make you feel like it actually?
I'm sure it's there. I mean, like definitely, like when I cast the spell, I'm mostly Mage that I run right now.
Mm-hmm.
So when you cast the spell, you'll feel like the rumble when you let the spell loose and stuff like that. It's also like they're also really up on the graphics and like little things. Like the first time you cast the spell, like when I get a new spell and I cast it, my teammates go, "Holy shit!" Because like the room lights up,
Yeah.
or like something happens that people are like, "Whoa, what'd you do?" And meanwhile, when you're playing Zenith, it's just like poo 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 poo, and everyone's going poo poo poo.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's not. There's just no excitement. But the first time you drop lightning in that game, you're like, "What? Look what I did!" It's like a real
awesome.
lightning bolt. Yeah, like Soul found a Captain America shield,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nuts. Like literally, the game has really cool like artifact style weapons,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "What do I do with this?" And he like clicks it and throws it. And it makes an eagle sound, and it's like, poof, 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 and like bounces off 3 guys and comes back to him. And he's like, "What just happened?"
That's pretty cool.
Like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Like, I have this shield that I can throw up in the air, activate it, throw it up in the air, and it spins.
Mm-hmm.
And then if anyone shoots projectiles at me, it sends them back.
Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's just like, and that's the stuff that keeps it exciting.
Yeah.
Rather than the grind. I just have no stomach for the grind.
Yeah, I wish they need to make that for Quest then pretty soon. But
I couldn't get it working on the Quest.
Man, they need to figure that out because that sounds like something I definitely want to play. I haven't.
They got to stick a GPU in the top of the Quest.
Yeah, probably. But I know you're talking about like with the room stuff. I think only one. There's only a couple games I know, but like one that I know that did a pretty good job with rooms was Blast On. Is like you'll go and battle, you'll sweat your ass off, and then you can go to this like nice little area and like meet people, and you can go back.
Yeah.
And, I really
Resolution
like
Games is getting really good at that too. They have the Heroes Hangout
Mm-hmm.
in Demio,
Mm-hmm.
and they did that too. They got the Hangout in Blast On, so they know the social aspect is crucial to VR, and with the social aspect comes, physical interactions and how you emote and portray yourself. So yeah, that stuff is big.
Yeah, I have a high hopes for their next game, as well that they're making.
The mech one.
Ultimate.
Yeah.
I just don't know how much I can talk about because I think I'm still underneath NDA. So.
Yeah, as am I. That's why I went.
Yeah. I know you can say the name because it is searchable and findable, and they're actually doing the conference. I think this week. I think they're actually presenting it in the conference they have overseas.
Did you notice they did something actually really cool with their demo? I mean, it's cool, I guess, to me, but everyone's game was watermarked.
Was what?
So it was watermarked.
Watermarked?
So yeah, so like there was little like writing in the background.
I saw that.
Always
Okay,
visible on the screen.
I saw that, yeah.
But it had a code specific to you.
Oh, nice.
So if someone leaked it,
that.
they knew exactly who it was.
That's serious. That's some serious stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like you said, it's we long podcast. But do you have anything that you want to kind of end with?
No. Thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun. If you guys want to check out, my YouTube channel, it's youtube.com /gaming with Matteo311.
Yep, and it's all in the description.
All in the description. You click that. I'll keep you up to date on the news, give you some reviews, and I won't hold back on my opinion.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. Is you can't be soft on opinions because then people want to try it. But yeah, thanks for having you on. Next week I have Olin VR. They make gun stocks, and so might be some other big news with that added on top of it. So that's next Monday, same time as usual. So hope to see you all there.